This video covers the IGCSE Biology Objective 8.3.5 on the 2025 CAIE syllabus to explain the mechanisms by which water moves in the xylem. Now, we have already talked a little bit about this. We started talking about this in a previous video, but so we'll start with that one. Even though this slide is labeled mechanisms in the stem, we are going to just review the mechanism in the leaf. So we have evaporation and diffusion in the leaf, which is going to pull the chain of water molecules from the top all the way down to the root, and that is called transpiration pull. So if you forgot what that was, please go back and just check that video out. It's on water loss in the leaf. But let's talk about the stem. So that was just a little review. Let's talk about the stem. So you can see here in the little animation that there are chains of water molecules that are going to move down the water potential gradient in the xylem. Okay, so down the water potential gradient just means that they are moving from an area of high water potential to an area of low water potential. It doesn't mean that they're moving in a downward direction. It just means that they're moving down a slope in a graph. So hopefully you're clear on that. If you've forgotten what that means as far as water potential gradient, please go back to movement in and out of cells to the osmosis section. I believe that was unit 3, if I'm not mistaken. And just review the graphs and what that all means. So there are two reasons why these chains of water molecules are moving in the xylem, and they're actually moving upwards, okay, down the water potential gradient, but they're moving upwards against gravity. And so that is because of cohesion. That is, water molecules stick together, and this is because of the polarity of water. And there was a video where I talked about why water is a polar molecule and what polarity is. So you can go back and check for that. I'm not going to explain it here. And adhesion, which is that water molecules stick to the wall of the xylem itself, and this is called capillary action. Capillaries are very small tubes, and so water molecules are going to stick to the edge of the tube, and when they do that, they actually move upwards a little bit due to the sticky nature of adhesion. And so this is cohesion because of polarity of water, and adhesion due to capillary action, which is the water sticking to the xylem wall itself. So those are two mechanisms that happen in the stem that are going to relate to water moving through the xylem. Then we have mechanisms in the root itself. And so here we have this little adaptation, this little animation of water molecules moving from the soil into the root hair cells and into the xylem. So what we have here is the active transport of mineral ions in the roots and transpiration pull of the water chain molecule from the top. This is going to cause a lower water potential in the root hair cells itself. And so as water molecules are going to be pulled up and away, water is going to move into the root itself to replace the water molecules that were previously pulled away because of water potential gradients. This process of the water molecules moving into the root is called root pressure. Okay, so transpiration pulls the water chain upwards, and so water molecules are moving up through the xylem, and so now there's a potential gradient where there's more water outside the root than there is inside the root, and so water molecules move into the root. So therefore this process, this mechanism, is called root pressure. This pressure is due to the fact that water molecules cannot be compressed, and as more molecules move into the root, a type of push is applied to the chain of water molecules. So let's just review the mechanisms of transpiration throughout the entire structure of the plant. So we've talked about leaf, we've talked about stem, we've talked about root. So we have a whole list of them. So we've got root pressure, which we just talked about in the last slide. We have osmosis, we have active transport. Those are movement of molecules. Osmosis is what we call passive transport. It happens due to the water potential gradient. Active transport is going to be based on energy and molecules being pumped into or out of a particular cell. We have cohesion due to the polarity of water. We have adhesion due to capillary action. We have evaporation and diffusion in the leaf, and then we have transpiration pull. So all of these mechanisms working together are going to create this transpiration stream that we talked about in the very first video in this unit, in this section, to create the movement of water and the provision of water loss in the leaf.